going pretty good.
Hold on, restart, go.
Motherfucker. I was ready, you weren't ready. Are you ready now?
Yeah, go.
Okay, great.
This is only a test. This is only a test.
Really?
I don't know if we can ever pull these off in one take. Okay. Internet, what's up? We're back. Well, we had huge success, surprisingly, with the Apocalypse rifle build, the M4A1 Block 2. So much so that we decided to come back and do the M4A1 Block 1. So I have an affinity for clones. I like clones because I mean, I'm not a clone nerd. I've actually used these weapons in combat, but that's why I'm building them. I'm building these rifles because it's fun and it's reminiscent of my service days. So we did the M4A1 Block 1. Also, just want to take a second to... What's that?
Block 2. Now we're doing Block 1.
Yeah, we're doing Block 1 right now. Yes, we're doing Block 1 right now. This is Block 1. Fuck, you did it again, man. Kato does a really good job of fucking me up. So we're on take 2 right now. But I just want to take a second to say thanks to everybody who joined the channel. So all the new people that joined the YouTube channel, thank you so much. That just happened to discover us from the last video. The M4A1 Apocalypse rifle build, Block 2. Appreciate you guys, all the views that we got. It was pretty crazy. We were not expecting that. So thank you very much for all the viewership. Thank you very much for everybody that subscribed to the channel. We're going to continue to do cool things, one of which is the M4A1 Block 1. So since everybody enjoyed that last video so much, we decided to kick it up a notch. So this time around, we went ahead and we did a painting video for you guys. So if you want to check out and see how this guy was painted, check out the video that we dropped before this one on the GWAT patina, how to paint a GWAT clone gun video. You guys will enjoy it. We're going to talk about the origin of this gun for me and all the parts and pieces and what it is and what's on it. Specifically this guy right here. So this is my clonest of clones, okay? This is my purest clone right here. This is literally all mil-spec parts. It is things that were issued, and it is things that I actually had and used in combat. So if we start from tip to tail, we'll go ahead and take the suppressor off so you guys can see the muzzle device that's under here. Okay, so this is a Surefire can. This was their Gen 1 Surefire can. Okay, so this is just a bird cage, standard bird cage. This is how Surefire started their suppressor life right here. And this can actually used one like this in Fallujah, Iraq. So I actually had one of these guys. So I had a relationship with Surefire while I was on active duty, and they had just started making suppressors, and they sent me a suppressor while I was in theater, and I combat T&E'd it. And it was a remarkable piece of gear, and it taught me really very early on in my career the force application for signature reduction and management for suppressors. So they're great for flash suppression, noise suppression, dust and dirt suppression. They keep the dust and dirt down if you're firing in a prone. I don't know how many of you guys have seen videos. There's plenty of videos on the internet where you see guys that are, you know, shooting off of a clot wall made out of mud, or they're shooting off the ground and it's dirt and sand and rocks and just dust is kicking up everywhere, putting out a huge signature. So suppressors help mitigate that from sound, flash, and dust. But another good thing that they also provide that I figured out in relatively quick order during combat operations in Fallujah was they provide good situational awareness, meaning you could tell who's shooting at who. So when you were in a CQB situation, if you were with other people that had suppressors, and there was many times that I had SEALs that we worked with, I had Army Special Forces that we worked with, I had Special Mission Unit guys and intelligence operatives that came out and worked with us during that time frame where I was at in the Jolan district. And when we would get into engagements at close range, snap, snap, snap was friendly shooting at a bad guy, and obviously large concussive full auto rips were usually bad guys shooting back at us. So it helped you when bad things happened to immediately distinguish who was shooting at who and what was going on, and it helped kind of mitigate some of the confusion and chaos by having that situational awareness. So really good piece of gear. But early on in Surefire's, when they very first started building cans, you can see here we've got some reflex action going, where the can actually is deeply chambered and it goes back over the top of the barrel, and has an index pin, has a little notch cut here. I don't know if you can see it with the light we got going on right now, but it's got the index pin right there, or notch. It's got an index pin in here, so if you want to put the can on, you just drop it on like that. You're going to screw it down. This is a good learning point right here. If it doesn't drop, it's because your latch isn't all the way open. So you got to make sure this guy's all the way open. You're going to drop it down. You're going to twist it until it falls down, clicks, and then when you give it a twist, it doesn't go anywhere. It's locked on that index pin. As soon as it's locked on that index pin, then you can go ahead and cinch that locking collar down all the way, and then you're good to go. Going down the line here, so first of all, what this whole rifle is, this is a Colt upper on a FN lower, because at the time that I was serving the Marine Corps, FN won a huge contract with the Marine Corps and provided all of our new M16A4 service rifles. So, and all of our M4s that were given to select personnel. So the upper itself is a Colt build, standard 1-in-7 government SOP mod profiled barrel. A2 sight post. This guy right here, also a favorite of mine. Some units in the Marine Corps got issued them, some didn't. Mainly recon, a lot of recon guys got issued this particular light. This is called the Surefire M900. And this was the CQB gunfighting hotness back circa 2000 to probably 2007 timeframe. This thing I like about it is it's got a kill switch right here, so it kills the light, and it's got dual pads on it. So it's got pads on both sides, so it makes it easy to use, and it makes it ambidextrous. And then it's got this button in the back right here, which activates red LED navigation lights. And we'll probably do more on the importance of those later on down the road in a low light applications video. The art of using nav lights has kind of been lost over the years, but we're going to do a video on it and talk about why it's important. This is an old school version, so it's got the old P60, P90 bulb, P90, P60, I can't remember. Anyway, it's an incandescent bulb, so it's got a filament in it. That's how old this guy is. So, not an LED light. I think this thing puts out maybe 110 lumens, and it's super yellowy, high temperature, super warm light, which actually works better for burning through smoke and seeing colors and identifying things. So actually better to have a warmer weapon light, but we'll get into more of that later. Going down the line here, we got our standard Knights rail, okay? The toughest part of this, the most difficult part of this build was the PEC2. Running one of those down. This is a real live full power PEC2. And so you can kind of see, for you guys that aren't familiar with PEC2s, this was the standard weapon laser way back in the day. And you can see kind of from its size and how it sits on the gun, it takes up a lot of rail space. It's not heavy because it's you know, glass resin filled polymer, so deals well with heat and weight, but it's big, bulky, and blocky. So this was the laser of choice back then. You still had your spot flood that you can crank, you can crank it to, you got filters on it, so you can put it into a flood mode, pull that filter off, and then you've got an adjustable spot, and then you've got your single laser over on this side. One of the drawbacks to this guy was that there's no visible laser, and one of the pains in the ass of this particular system is that you do have to wear your night vision goggles while you're zeroing it, whereas the lasers that are out nowadays have the the co-zero on them with the visible zero. It makes it way easier for you to zero. You just zero the visible laser, and it's slaved and zeroes your IR laser as well. This does not have that, so they're kind of a pain in the ass. Got a little indicator light on here. The thing that I did really like about the PEC2, and I've seen some LA5s that have this feature, is that you've got these turrets on here that are protected, and you can just dial on your dope. You don't need a special tool, so you don't need a flat blade or a Torx or anything weird to adjust your zero. You can just twist it, and then they are in fact protected so that they don't get bumped and knocked off zero very easily. We would go ahead, I haven't done it on this particular one yet because I haven't re-zeroed this guy yet. It's probably gonna get done the next couple weeks, but we usually will zero them up and then mark them. So it makes it really handy when you don't have to worry about having a special tool or fuck with a Leatherman when you're wearing night vision goggles in the dark trying to get this thing on. So I do enjoy that it has turrets on it. I wish some of the newer lasers had that, but they don't. 2 battery system. It's a AA system, so you put 1 battery in one side, 1 battery in the other. The light and laser quality is still pretty comparable to what is out on the market currently. So especially when it's in its high mode, it does a pretty decent job still. Gets the job done. That was our standard issued IR laser at the time. I got a Knights Armament forward sling mount on here, and Knights Armament standard SOP mod rail on here. And then, like I said, upper is Colt, bolt is Colt. Charging handle is my gas buster charging handle, which doesn't really bust much gas. I still get a generous amount in my face, but not as much as not as much as the standard issue, regular old mil spec charging handle. The charging handle that does a really good job, I found, is the that Radian Raptor that has the holes drilled in it to diffuse the gas out of that one actually works pretty decently, a lot better than this one. But this is what I had. This is what I used in Iraq back then. So this is what's on the gun. The lower is FN, and I bought this lower off of the FN website and had it transferred. And it is they had like a cloner link on there where you could buy factory cloned lowers and complete rifles from FN. So I'll look for that. I don't know if that's still a thing because I bought this so long ago. I've had this gun for a long time, so I will check into that. If it is if I can find the link, I'll drop it in the description for you guys so you can check it out. I got the Marine Corps RCO on here. I can't remember, TA 30 something, 30. What is it? 32. 31, TA 31, I don't know, 31, 32, 35, I don't know what it is. It's got a Chevron reticle in it, BDC, ballistic drop compensator reticle in it. So good. This was, I love ACOGs. I talked about all the reasons I love ACOGs on the last video we did, so I'm not gonna get too out in the weeds with this, with talking about why I love ACOG, but this is actually a really good optic for its size and weight. I don't particularly love the Chevron reticle because in between 100 and 200, I don't know, when you're trying to shoot fast at distance and drive the gun back and forth, your holdover is where you're particularly holding on the target is a little bit difficult and indescript. So I prefer what's on my other gun, which is the TA01 NSN, and it's just got a straight up reticle, just a crosshair in it. And I like that better. But this is great because it's got that fiber optic in it, so it illuminates the reticle really well in multiple lighting conditions. And I think right now we're going in low light right now, and I can still see the reticle's illuminated really well. So one of the other benefits about that, doesn't take batteries, so really great. ACOG, in my opinion, still undisputed king of like all around best functional combat optics. So really love that guy. Got just a standard mil-spec ambi, mil-spec trigger. We got the ergo grip. As I said in my last build video, ergo grip was the hotness back then because Magpul hadn't really started doing a lot, I think, back then with grips. I think they just started doing buttstocks, and they had crazy stuff going on with buttstocks, but I don't think they had grips going on back then. I don't think grips came until later on down the road. So I used the ergo grip for a really long time because it's rubbery, spongy, and if you're wearing a leather glove, which I always did, like it grips, you can just grip it really well. You got good grip with the ergo grip, so I really liked it, and a lot of guys ran that. Myself and a lot of other guys ran ergo grip on their gun. Buttstock CTR, I talked about why I love CTR in the last video. Like, it's got this, first of all, it's got, it's just built really well. It adjusts really easy, and then it's got this buffer lock on it to where the buffer, you can lock the buttstock down on the buffer and it doesn't wobble or move at all, which I really love that, especially for precision shooting. So that is the M4A1 Block 1 clone build that I carried in Fallujah, Iraq. So funny story about how I actually got this gun was I was this NCOIC of the fit element for RCT1. I was actually a sergeant holding a captain's billet. I was maneuvering a brigade-sized partner force in the battle space in Jolan district. And we kept having badge chasers from Camp Fallujah that would want to come out and strap hang with us for a day or two so that they could get their combat action ribbon and feel like real Marines. And a lot of these guys were pogues and support people and officers. So this particular fella I was actually running a M16A4 at the time that was set up with this, and I had an AKM with me that I'd captured off of a target and was running it in the turret of the Humvee. And we had this captain that came out. He was a reservist. He was working in the 3 shop at the mech. He was an operations nerd of some type. He's a captain. He's a reservist from, I think, New York. And he came out with a bunch of other retard officers and was wearing his brand new pressed, super clean Digi uniform and running around with his M4 feeling like he was really special, and he wanted to work with us that day. And so we had pushed up to an area where we were still having some difficulties. We were having insurgents that were still bouncing around in small units, and we were still getting sporadic and most of the time ineffective fire from some of these particular areas and houses. And I think we were like 3 weeks or 4 weeks deep in the operation at this time. So we took him out with us, and we in fact pushed up on the flot, or and we had this situation where there was this alleyway in between these two houses that they had compounds with walls around them. And of course we started getting some sporadic fire and rounds skipping down the alley, bouncing off the street in front of us. And so he came walking up in between one of these situations where the rounds were coming up, and it was quiet for a few minutes, and he started walking towards that, and I was on my Mark 19. I said, "Hey sir, you're getting close to that alley right there, and we're receiving ineffective sporadic fire." Yeah, Sergeant, I know what I'm doing. I've got it. Roger that, sir. So I just sat there, proceeded to sit on my Mark 19, manage traffic over the radio, listen to what my guys were doing, manage my group of partner force people, and sure enough, he got out in the middle of that alley and took some sporadic fire, which hit him in the thigh. And he dropped his M4, went ass over tea kettle into the dirt. One of my lance corporals jumped off the truck, ran out, grabbed him, pulled him in, put a tourniquet on and started working on him. By this time, the other pogues that showed up with him showed up. They were freaking out. I had to take control of the situation. We got him treated. We didn't have a corpsman with us, so we just packed his wound, threw a tourniquet on him, threw him in a Humvee, and his buddies took him back to base. Well, he forgot his rifle. He left his M4 in the middle of the alley. So I waited till I was sure that I wasn't going to get shot, and I walked out there, grabbed the weapon, and proceeded to commandeer it and reappropriate government materials and use it for the rest of the remainder of the operation by kitting it out with what was on my M16A4. So M16A4, because it's a long musket and really shitty for clearing rooms, went in the trunk of the Humvee, and I used this beautiful M4. And at the conclusion of the operation, when we all pulled out of the city and were rotating out and went back, I went and turned it into his shop and said, "Here you go, you can have this back now." So that's how I got my hands on an M4, but that's the story of this gun. It's from you guys, from what you could see from the accuracy that we shot some groups for you guys with this thing. It's a 2 MOA gun with M855, but we were still effectively able to engage man-sized targets and confirm on steel out to 500. So very combat effective gun. Those are high. Okay, out to 5. So thanks for joining us, guys. Appreciate all the new followers on the channel. If you don't know, check out the podcast. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, Lone Element Podcast. And please, please, please click like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, tell anybody you think would like this content. We're happy to have you over here. And we will catch you next time. Oh, before I forget, Patreon. Go check out Patreon. Join Patreon. Patreon is going to help us support the channel here, just like with everybody else. We got a lot of exciting things going on Patreon. We offer a lot of things that none of my peers are offering, and there's a lot of benefits there that you won't get on any other channel.
Free class.
Yeah, free class, free training class. So go check that out. Enjoy the content, and we're going to keep it going. So we'll catch you next time on the Lone. We'll catch you next time. Fuck, all kinds of fucking up right now. We'll catch you guys next time. Peace.